Now available in paperback, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Pick up your copy of John Haynes at Death's Door at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. I was watching an O'Shea Duke Jackson video where he was talking about how the Tory Lanez conviction would be used to target black men. And I have to agree with him that the Tory Lanez conviction will definitely be weaponized against black men, because when I heard the district attorney in his video talking, he was saying that he was out here looking to protect black women by talking about your Megan Thee Stallion and the alleged violence perpetrated against her. And again, what they want to do with your Tory Lanez is they want to use his conviction to re-establish the standard of trust and believe as the law of the land. Now, your white supremacists all across this country have been working towards re-establishing the Jim Crow standard of trust and believe all across this country ever since they started making allegations against Bill Cosby through their sock puppet Hannibal Buress. And ever since your Hannibal Buress came out here making these allegations, they have been trying to go out here and trying to make allegations against Bill Cosby in an effort to make him the face of sexual predation. And as they went on with their court case in 2018 and received that false conviction against Bill Cosby, they used that to establish the legal standard in this country, taking us from rule of law, where a man is innocent until proven guilty, to trust and believe, where all you need is the allegation from a woman to go out here and get a man either fired from his job, destroy his professional reputation, or in the worst case, take away his freedom by having him arrested simply on the word of a woman. And again, this legal interpretation of trust and belief takes us back to the days of Jim Crow, where a white woman could go out here and make an allegation of a sex crime, and that black man could easily be arrested and put in prison simply on her word. Now, this whole plan to establish trust and believe as the law of the land basically backfired as men started to walk away from women in social situations. And as this was going on, Mr. Cosby went out here and appealed his case. And once he got his case overturned in 2021, it basically ended the legal standard of trust and believe and took us back to rule of law. However, white supremacists want to reestablish the standard of trust and believe in the law of the land, and because they want to establish trust and believe as the law of the land, what they need to do is find a pawn to go out here and promote their narrative. Now, your white supremacists have been trying to find the perfect pawn to push that narrative with people like R. Kelly, but your R. Kelly's case, basically, he got convicted and sent to prison, and then that really didn't help with their standard of trust and believe. Neither did your Cuba Gooding Jr. when he went out here and pleaded guilty. It didn't really allow them to program the idea in people's minds about black men being the face of predation and violence and being somebody that needs to be put away. But when your Tory Lanez showed up in 2020, he was the perfect pawn for white supremacy to push their anti-black narratives as related to making a black man the face of predation and violence. And your Tory Lanez, a Canadian black man, really did not understand white supremacy here in America. And as he traveled to Hollywood looking to go out here and advance his career, when he got out here with your Megan Thee Stallion, he really did not understand the subtle politics transpiring here in America. And because he didn't understand the subtle politics here in America, he went on participating in these Pookie-style antics, not understanding how white supremacy would use this to weaponize their agenda to go after heterosexual American black men. And as he got in that vehicle with your Megan Thee Stallion in her skid mark thong and her assistant BFF, he didn't understand that he was walking into a trap that was going to make life harder for most foundational heterosexual black American men. Because as he got into that vehicle, started getting into an argument with your Megan Thee Stallion, he then went out here and allegedly wound up pulling out that firearm and allegedly shooting at the ground. And that's all white supremacy needed to go out here and have the perfect poster child to go out here and push their anti-black agenda. And as they went out here pushing their anti-black agenda, making it like your Tory Lanez was the big black brute who was out here participating in violence, what your white supremacy did was get an ally in your Megan Thee Stallion, and that ally went out here pushing the protect black women narrative, a narrative that is filled with anti-black man racism, and again tries to make black men the face of violence, make black men the face of crime, make the black man the face of sexual predation, and as they go out here making the black man into the image of a black brute, they have a perfect man to be the face of that story, and they have the perfect black man so that they can push the narrative of protect black women, which is just code word for trust and belief. And again, your Megan Thee Stallion is basically being used to reestablish the precedent of law in America as related to trust and belief, because the Tory Lanez conviction is just another way of establishing trust and belief as the law of the land towards heterosexual black men, because now that they have this Tory Lanez conviction, what they now have is the standard of trust and belief right on black men, and this more benefits your white supremacy because now they can weaponize the black woman, and that's what the prosecutor in Los Angeles wants to do. He wants to weaponize women like a Megan Thee Stallion and have them go out here and use them to go after heterosexual black men and get black men arrested and locked up, all based on an allegation as related to what they say as related to domestic violence and a allegation of a sex crime if possible. Again, the whole goal of the Tory Lanez trial was to reestablish trust and belief as the law of the land for heterosexual black men, because when they tried to do it with Bill Cosby, they accidentally went out here and caught white men up in the dragnet, and as they were catching white men up in the dragnet, what was happening was too many white men were losing their jobs, losing their careers, losing their professional reputations, and losing their freedom, and they didn't want to see white men getting caught up in the dragnet like they did during the Me Too movement. The original goal of the Me Too movement was to go after black men, but now they've got the perfect person to go after black men, just like your Tarana Burke was trying to go after black men, but now they have an even better person to go after black men in your Megan Thee Stallion, because you have a prominent black female entertainer who can be used as a puppet master to go out here and say the victimization talking points, and many black women will follow those victimization talking points, and they will go out here making allegations against black men. And as those black men get caught up in the dragnet, People won't see them the same way they saw Bill Cosby. They won't see them the same way that they saw Bill Cosby get railroaded, because the way your Tory Lanez went through the criminal justice system, he was railroaded in the exact same way that your Bill Cosby was railroaded. However, because it was a black woman doing the railroading, many did not empathize or sympathize with him, because your Tory Lanez basically was out here going up against a black woman, whereas when Bill Cosby was going up against a white woman, we could easily see how the white supremacist was making moves on the chessboard, but we can't see them because a lot of black men are angry at this Megan Thee Stallion, not understanding that there's a white supremacist basically making the moves on the board, and he's playing the black man against the black woman, and your Megan Thee Stallion is basically being used as a weapon to go out here and go after black men, and she's been used to go after black men in order to make black men look like they're violent black brutes, and the goal is to make the black man look like he is the monster white supremacists imagined in the antebellum South. So this whole case of your Tory Lanez, like O'Shea said, has major implications, because the DA really just wants to use this as a way to go out here and target professional heterosexual black men, and he wants to use this case to reestablish trust and believe as the law of the land for black men, the same way that the Me Too movement wanted to go after black men before. So this is just the white supremacists going out here regrouping to go after black men, and this is why black men who are heterosexual need to get on code, because when you go off code like a Tory Lanez, you wind up getting yourself jammed up, because your Tory Lanez did not know how to get on code after a year after Bill Cosby was released from prison, and 3 years after his conviction. Sadly, Tory Lanez didn't get the memo, and white supremacy took advantage of his naivete and used that to go after black men in America as a proxy. And this is why black men, as a collective, we have to get on code, because if we don't get on code, what will happen is we will get guys like Tory Lanez, again, used to go further oppress other black Americans and make life harder for other black Americans. Because the reason why Tory Lanez got himself jammed up is because he did not understand the code as related to black men. He didn't understand the written and unwritten social rules. I knew as far back as 1990 when I saw Mike Tyson get jammed up by Desiree Washington, a predatory female just like a Megan Thee Stallion. And your Mike Tyson, he got jammed up on some questionable, I believe, charges as related to sexual violence, and he got a conviction that I believe was quite questionable. And again, that's all because Mike Tyson wasn't on code, and I learned from him over 30 years ago to get on code. And when you're dealing with women in the entertainment industry, you have to go out here and be in your own vehicle with your own people. She's in her own vehicle with her own people, and you don't deal with her in private by yourself, because the last thing you want is a her word against your situation. And then 2 years after what happened to Mike Tyson, I learned about Justice Clarence Thomas and the allegations that Anita Hill made about him, and that also taught me a lesson about maintaining my professional distance on the job, because these types of women, what they will do is when they see you on the road to success, they want to be like a crab in a barrel and bring you down with an allegation of something that isn't substantiated, and they just don't want to see another black person come up. And again, your Tory Lanez, he was probably too young to have ever heard about Mike Tyson or Clarence Thomas, and he didn't have a father in his life to teach him the male life skills about how to navigate social situations, and sadly that's how he became a pawn of white supremacy. He became a pawn of white supremacy because he had nobody to get him on code about how to engage with women in the workplace, women in social situations, and because he didn't do that, sadly, they used him as a weapon to reestablish trust and believe as the law of this land. And again, this case, it may take years to appeal, but the whole point is that the white supremacist knows how to use black women like a Megan Thee Stallion to go out here and establish dangerous legal precedent for black men, because what this DA in LA wants to do is like every other DA across the country, like a Kevin Steele. They want to go out here and make black men the face of crime and violence so they can go out here and have a reason to go out here and put black men in jail. And those black men, in most cases, like Tory Lanez, are guilty until proven innocent, and like Bill Cosby before him, made guilty until proven innocent, all because they don't want to see a black man having wealth, economic power. And you have black women like your Megan Thee Stallion who don't like black men and don't want to see a black man have power due to their daddy issues. So there's a lot of people who don't like black men, and that's why it's up to brothers to teach other brothers about getting on code so that they won't be targeted by these enemies and be weaponized by these enemies to go out here and establish legal precedent that makes it hard for the brothers to go out here and make a living. Because the Tory Lanez conviction makes it just that much harder for a black man to go out here and move in these streets. And again, it makes it harder because you have guys from foreign areas who don't know how to move, and they make wrong moves that make it just that much harder, and because they don't know about how your white supremacists basically are looking to target black men every day. And your Tory Lanez, again, was the perfect patsy, the perfect Pookie. He was out here doing their dirty work and not understanding that the dirty work that they wanted done was to get trust and believe established back as the law of the land for black men, and get trust and believe to be the standard for black men, the same way it was during the dark days of Jim Crow. Now, if you want to learn more about men's issues, like I talk about in my books like Stop Simpin' and Avoid Predators like a Megan Thee Stallion and many others out here, you can pick up my book Stop Simpin' in the Workplace, Stop Simpin' in Cyberspace, and Stop Simpin' Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find both of those books at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today.